Welcome back, guests. Today, I am very excited. I have someone near and dear, Laura Cross, today. She is the heart centered founder of White Sands Self Care. And she's super passionate and an advocate for wellness, mindfulness, and very purpose driven entrepreneurship. And she also is the host of Mindful Mondays, where Laura has a global TV show very dedicated to helping people align with their highest vibrational self and live with intention. So welcome, Laura. I'm super excited to have you here today.
Thank you, Dina. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about, like, how you got into this. It's always wonderful to hear the backstory of how we end up where we're at, right?
The short version of it is that I lost my husband over 20 years ago. And for me, I used to always say life is too short. I would have to say life is too precious to be answering to somebody else. So that's when I had went into travel. And I started with travel and then COVID carried me along and kind of scared the snot out of everybody for traveling. And I realized the reason I wanted people with travel was that they could take better cares of themselves. And so that's when I created White Sands Self Care. And yeah, so that's kind of how I got into the whole, self care mode. And when I learned to heal. That just kind of put me on a whole other mission. I started meeting more and more holistic people, learning different modalities, and learning that we did not have to be dependent on other stuff. Met a lot of people that were just struggling also and, felt like they were afraid of being judged or they weren't being heard or they had no support. And so that's why it became important for me to build a holistic, judgment free community out of it. And because, I mean, we're all individuals. We all have the right to our perceptions. We're not going to agree with everybody, and that's fine. But people shouldn't be judged or criticized for, how they feel or how they have a perception of something. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And part of this is, you believing that success starts with really knowing, like, who you are. And so tell me a little bit more about, like, how can entrepreneurs really begin to reconnect with who their true identity is?
yeah, that's why I always tell people if what you're doing does not light you up, you need to look at doing something else. No, because obviously you're just making ends meet and that's admirable. But is that the way you really want to spend your life and then have regrets that you wish you would have done this or you wish you would have done that? I had a number of businesses. I'm in a number of businesses. And a lot of them, when I was doing them and starting them, you're always taught that you find someone that can mentor you and you don't reinvent the wheel. And all of that is great, but you can get lost in trying to follow everything they do and not figure out how to make it work for you. So I spent a lot of years doing that. But when I moved myself to a totally different situation, a different area, a different environment. And it really allowed me to kind of reflect more on myself, what I was doing, and figure out who I truly am. Because if you don't know that, then all you're going to wind up doing is following someone else and you're trying to make their system, and it doesn't, it's not a one size fits all. I tell people it's a one size fits none. So I like trying to meet people where they're at. And if I can't relate to them or stuff, then, you connect. But it really starts with figuring out who you are. And are you doing what you feel lit up? Do you really feel joyful when you're doing it? Do you feel like you're going in the right path, or do you feel like you're doing something because someone said, "Oh, that you should do this"? Great, you might be good at it. You might, yeah. I used to do number of different jobs, and yeah, I can do 100% at them. Does that mean I'm happy doing them? No, you know. So it's looking in and figuring out what really fits, what really aligns with you. And when you're in alignment and it, like I said, and it lights you up, then you know you're on the right path. Then you have those mentors and they're great and you grab those bits and pieces, but doesn't mean you have to follow it to the T.
Yeah.
Figure out how to maneuver it and make it fit you and make it fit your personality.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. And, sometimes the signs are very subtle in how we are disconnected from our purpose. So tell me how you've seen that show up in people's businesses.
So for some, for me and for some others that I've seen when they're really kind of disconnected is, they're trying so hard or they come from one, they come from a place of lack. And when you're coming from a place of lack, it comes out in your vibration, in your frequency when you're talking to people and they feel like they're working so hard at something. and you do, but it's not you're not connecting with people, you're not getting the right people. Doesn't necessarily mean that that business is bad or the model's bad, it just means it's probably not for you, or you haven't talked to people about it as to why it's important to you, why it lights you up. I love turnkey stuff, that's great, but it doesn't fit for everybody, So knowing what you have and being able to maneuver it and work. So you'll know because you'll get exhausted, you get burnout. It feels more like a job. It's like, oh God, I gotta do this. It's not like, oh cool, I get to go do this. I get to go talk to somebody. It's a totally different feeling. And you can tell when you talk to people.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And you're big into the mindfulness practice and how that influences our, like, leadership and development inside of our business too, which I absolutely love that you have that style and that you really put that forward. How has that really made a big difference in your business, in how you connect with others?
Oh, for me, it's made a huge, difference, and everybody's got something different. Everybody calls meditation something different. When I've talked to a lot of people, the fact that I go out and I walk away from things and I go enjoy nature, go walk around the property or feed the birds, that is a form of meditation. Meditation does not always mean going, closing your eyes and doing that. A lot of people are really good at that, and that can work, but some of us have trouble kinda like just being still or shutting things off. So when I go outside and I start watching the birds, that puts my mind and my focus on something else. You get to appreciate what's around you. It's just kind of part of that quiet and stillness for me. And just seeing other things so beautiful around you that you can just take it in and enjoy it. It's not just always being in your office, being stuck in front of a computer. So I really learned to walk away. So walk when you need to, you walk away. You don't beat yourself up about what you didn't finish. You do what's most important and get it done and congratulate yourself. Celebrate those little wins
Yeah.
of what you've done because we're really good at beating ourselves up. We got plenty of other people that do that. We don't need to beat ourselves up.
Right. Yeah. And there's something just so powerful about, like, being outside in nature, huh? I think they in the Japanese call it forest bathing, and it's just there's just something about it that is just so healing, grounding, and so, like, looking at that, like, what role does physical and emotional wellness actually play when we're trying to scale our business sustainably?
Well, it's huge, and I tell people mindset and self-care goes across everything, and that's why even on the show, we cover everything. We cover business, we cover emotional, spiritual, physical, because if you are off in one area, you are off. We can all show up and sit here and say, "Woo, everything's great," and do this, but when you know you've got something that's, like, really weighing on you or maybe something has really upset you, your focus is not where it needs to be. It'll take you twice as long to do things, or maybe it's not getting done the way you would like it to do because you're really not focused on it and you can't concentrate on it. And then when it comes to like family, if you're something you're upset about, it comes across in your vibration and your emotions and stuff. So even though you think you're putting on a good face, if they're really kind of in tune, or maybe you're doing something, maybe you're snapping them, and then they feel like they're not supporting you. Well, then you just kind of feel like everything is like, crashing at you. So taking those moments to step away, like if something's upsetting you, analyze it and say, okay, why is this really upsetting me? Is this something that I can change? And if you can, change it. If you can't, let it go. Because otherwise you are creating a world of stress of something over something you can't control.
Yeah. Yeah. You have this awesome way that kind of is like check engine light for health, right? And it's called the AO voice scan. And so tell me a little bit about how that works. It's very intriguing.
It's an incredible tool. I was actually introduced to it by one of the guests that I had on my show last year, and it's AO standing for Alpha Omega, so before and after. And it takes Rife frequencies and Nikola Tesla's technology, and it's together. Everything is vibration and frequency and energy in this world.
Yeah.
So it's hard to believe, and it's fun watching people because they're like, how can just 10 seconds of your voice detect this? It's because if I say I am Laura Cross and I just talk for 10 seconds and I tell you what's going on, where I live or whatever, that takes thousands of vibrations and frequencies out of your voice. It finds your 3 highest, your 1 lowest, and then it scans it. It gives you audio files to bring the high ones down and the low ones up because it's trying to help you feel balanced. but I call it a check engine light for your body because I'm a car person. And we all know if you drive a car, it's got a check engine light because there's something going on with the system. That will tell you. And it's not meant to diagnose people, it's to identify the root cause of what is causing your issues. Because if you've been through trauma, childhood traumas, or maybe you didn't even feel like you've been traumatized or something, but you had different perceptions that you took on, like one of those bad records you've been playing in your head, you think you've gotten over it. If it's in your subconscious, it's still stuck in you and it's still creating problems. So it will actually tell you what foods, the frequencies of what foods are stuck in your system that are causing inflammation, diminishing functions. It'll show you your chakras, your meridians. Even kicks out MRI-like images of places in your body. So just as a quick example, I had went and colored my hair at one time, and I did it with the natural because I don't like using toxics. So I did the natural part, and I did it. But then it was spring. I wanted to make it lighter. So, okay, I couldn't get the Hannah to work. I went and got a L'Oreal. I was like, all right, not crazy about the toxics, but we got to fix this. So I did it. And I got a little bit of it in my eye, and I scanned myself the next morning. Boom, hair toxins, damage to the right eye. And again, it was just from 10 seconds of my voice. If I've gotten really bad or upsetting news, I'll get a double red and a heart chakra, grief, things. It lights up. It will tell you what's going on, and it will show you what functions and what systems in your body that those stuck emotions, everything that you're going through, and how it's affecting your body.
Very cool. And it does pets too, right? You can do pets and children,
Yep.
which is very, very helpful as well, right?
And that's what throws people with pets, because no, I don't need to get them to bark, but, like, my dog, he there's only one of them that was born on that day and that date with his name, his weight, his breed. You put it all in, it knows how to find him,
So
and
cool.
scan him. So I
All
can see it.
energy, right?
Oh, yeah, all energy. It's an incredible tool.
Yeah. Tell me, like, share with me one of the biggest success stories you've had utilizing that tool.
So a lot of the feedback that I've gotten from my own clients that I've scanned is, because after we scan them and I give them some actionable things that they can do to correct stuff, give them recommended for certain supplements because things will light up. Some people say, "Oh, I'm taking these supplements," but if it shows up, it's because you're not absorbing it and it's the quality of the one that you're getting. But I just spoke with one of them yesterday, and she's like, it was really weird, but she says people have been commenting on how much she seems to have more energy. She does this. She's been, releasing some of the weight that she wanted to release, and she used to always take an afternoon nap, and now she doesn't always need to, but she'll still lay down, the other half, but she doesn't feel like she needs it all the time like before she did. And so it's really helped to, boost her energy. Dr. Grant that I work with, he's had even more, miraculous results from people because you can really, I mean, it depends. And now we're going to give people information. Like I said, we don't diagnose it, but when there's alarms saying that you could be headed for a stroke, we've had people, or he's had people that has gone to the doctors and the blood work showed that, oh, the doctor told them they were fine. And 2 months later, they had a stroke. It showed in the AO scan, but it didn't show in the blood work, that they did. So, and you can throw all the supplements at the world at people, but if they're not willing to change their lifestyle and what they're doing and take a look at what they're doing and realizing that what they're doing is causing issues, then there's not much you can do for them. It's a combination of everything. It's not one or the other. It all works together.
Yep. Yep. Very cool. Like, on that note, I know that, like, a lot of entrepreneurs, we just go, 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 right? We tend to ignore the signs of imbalance very, very well. And we, on the journey, the windy road to burnout, right?
Right.
What are some of the key, like, red flags that you see to kind of say, like, "Hey, maybe time out. Let's stop and kind of reassess, like, what's going on," right?
Yeah. Some of the first signs I think, at least for me, has been, when you're feeling tired or drained all the time, or all of a sudden you feel like you're not remembering or doing things the way you should, because maybe you've taken on too much, you've decided to go in too many different directions, you had to dial it back. I've done that before. I've started with it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, the whole day went, and I didn't take anything out for dinner. I didn't do this, and I was like, okay, I had to scale back my calendar. I'm like, this is not happening. You know, was my fiance very supportive? Absolutely. But that does This doesn't matter because when I get done, I don't even have time to spend with them because I am exhausted. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Is it time to go to bed? And, and then you get up and you start the whole thing over. So I would say that's one of the signs is, exhaustion when you're not truly enjoying things the way you used to, when it feels, like I said, more like a chore, more like a job. Some things have got to change in there. And you're gonna get burned out, and it's okay to dial it back. When I first started in business and I'm seeing some other people that are making it because 'cause they're shifting, they're, like, trying to answer emails, like, right away, "Oh my god, I gotta answer this." No, you don't. You need to be able to think and process about it, have hours, just like Walmart, Target, whatever. You have your hours, this is what you're working. If you don't get to it, then you go to the next day, and I mute my phone. I mean, I have to. I work with people all over the world, and when I'm sleeping, they're awake, and so there is a time where you can connect in there, but I'm not gonna sit there and be half asleep and try to, because that damages your health, your sleep. You need that sleep, you need that rest to re-energize, refocus, and when you keep doing little things and your exception starts to become the rule, Mm. then you gotta back up. Then you have to back up.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I guess, like, busy business owners, they giving themselves that permission to slow down and do it without feeling guilty. I think, like, do you have any tips for them? Because, like, I think that's what most struggle with is like, well, things are going to slow down over here, or I may not hit my deadline. I may not hit my goal. But ultimately, like, your health should be at the very top of the list, right? And yet sometimes we don't do that. And yeah.
So here's the thing, most people I know, when tragedy strikes, and I'm not wishing tragedy on anybody, you have no problem shutting everything off because your focus is on that, whether it's a family member that may be dying or in the hospitalized or you have to take care of another one, your focus goes there. Everything else, because guess what? It's still going to be there when it's done. So it'll still be there for you to catch up. My thing is to try to let people know to not wait for tragedy to strike. Don't be that tragedy
Yep.
when your health starts to suffer. So being able to recognize that, knowing that's going to be there. And the other thing is, like I said, celebrate your little wins. We all have these lists. We all have stuff to do. Do what's most important, but then don't sit there and say, oh, I didn't get this done. I didn't get that done. Well, that'll go to tomorrow. No, I got this done. This is what I did. I got that done and it's moving along. Some of the things and the people that I have worked with that I have learned is staying in flow. And a lady I worked with water, it puts it pretty eloquently because water never stops.
No.
It finds a way up, over, under, whatever, it's going to keep moving. So if you can stay in flow and not say, oh my God, I've hit a wall or I've hit a barrier, and you just go with the flow, everything else just kind of wants to pull you under and pull you opposite. But just know that, how many times have we all gotten in our head and you start overthinking things and analyzing it and all this. And every time we've done that, for one, it normally never turns out. It always works out. It's always worked out before. What we thought in our head never comes true. So why do we keep repeating the pattern? So
Good question.
recognize the pattern and just say, you know what, this has happened before. It's always worked out, and trust that it will, that'll come, that you are doing the right things. And yeah, but your health has to come first because if you're doing this and you're running yourself from the ground and you have no health, you're not good for anybody. You're not good for your clients. You're not good for your family. You're definitely not good for yourself.
Yeah. And I think too, like, putting strategies in place for not having everything fall on you, which is something we do, but, you help business owners in one way, we help them in another. Taking all those, like, hats off and helping them strategize and
Mhm.
get things automated so that doesn't fall on their lap all the time, because when your business solely relies on you, if you're sick or on a timeout or on vacation, things stop, right? The cogs stop working. And so I think it's really cool to have a lot of really good systems and tools in place that are aligned with you, And so I know you
100%.
mentioned yeah, yeah. I know you mentioned, like, kinda taking a time out, going outside, getting that breathing space. Like, are there other self-care habits that have helped you stay grounded and aligned?
Well, I mean, I take my health seriously, so I've done a lot of things like for around the house and, detoxifying and getting all the toxic stuff out of the house, eating cleaner, making the good meals, decluttering your space. Believe it or not, if you're sitting in a cluttered mess, it's got you distracted. Breathing issues and just, you're not totally focused if you're always thinking, "Oh, I still need to do this. I still need to do that." So, yeah, just walking away and doing it and just feeling proud that, "You know what? I got that done." Like, I have a table that I've cleaned it off a number of times, and all of a sudden, but yeah, okay, not happening. It's the catch-all table. You walk in, "Oh, yeah, I'll do it later, do it." Really, it takes 2 seconds to, like, just walk where you needed to and put it away, and that wouldn't happen in the first place, and I'm still guilty of it. I'm not saying I'm perfect, nobody is, but
Right.
when you start recognizing them and you start making better habits, you kinda start feeling better about yourself, and it may not seem like it's related, but it really is. Because if like I said, if you have so much going on, or if you're an overthinker, which I am, and you have this going on, that going on, it's very hard to focus on what you want to get done. And I used to be wonderful at telling everybody, "I can multitask. I can do this. I can do that." That is a myth. We cannot multitask. Your brain actually functions. It slips back and forth from one thing to another. It really can only focus on one. Hence the thing of where if you go slower, you can get more done. So if you can slow down and back up and focus on one thing, you will actually get more done than if you're trying to do 2, 3 different projects. So pick if you're a solopreneur like me and you do not have the assistance yet, which I am working on that someday, take your list and figure out what is the most important to keep your business going and doing and work on that. And if you have someone that you can reach out and keep a support or accountability, that also helps too. Some people will I've heard people say, "Well, I could never work at home. I would never get out of bed. I can never do this." Okay, well, you're right, because for one, you've already told yourself that's what your brain works on. Whatever you tell yourself, your brain is gonna work on, which is why our words and our thoughts are powerful. So, give yourself some credit, tell yourself what you can do. Your brain or how can I do it? Your brain will go to work on figuring out how to do it instead of just saying, "I can't." No, how can I? So, those are all just little things that you can use to help and to keep you going.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the multitasking. I was reading a study the other day that said that multitasking does the same thing as concussions in the brain. And I was like, "Oh, no." Like, here you've got all these tabs open in your computer, and you're, like, bouncing from one thing to another. It's frustrating. It's so much easier just to finish one task, check it off the list, finish another, check it off the list versus jumping between. So, yeah, I love that you brought that up. It's very, very interesting.
Oh, yeah, I'm guilty, and trust me, I've tried to do it here, and so for that, I've stopped hard boiling eggs in pots because next thing I know, I heard this pop, pop, crack, and something smells. I forgot they were on the stove because I got engrossed in what I was doing in the business. I'm like, "Well, there goes that pot." I'm like, "Yes." So, it's not a good idea.
No, no. No. And then you brought up mindfulness, and I know that, with entrepreneurship, we're always desiring more visibility, right? And so you created a great way to help entrepreneurs get visible with Mindful Mondays. So you kind of combined a couple things. Tell me a little bit more about how this platform kind of came to life and this project of yours.
I did. Well, to me, it was always kind of funny because I have the White Sands Self-Care community group that I built on Facebook. And I always just thought, we always see all these people's pictures, their profiles. And it's like, okay, great, you can read this, but you get a better sense or vibration feeling for people when you hear from them. And so I started by doing little interviews from that group with people so that they could tell us their challenges, what they went through, how they got over them, how they help others to do the same. Because I think when you can hear from the person and get a little more sense of how they are or who they are, you can resonate with them better, and then you would want to do business with them because you got more time to get to know them. And everybody kept calling it a podcast. I said, "It's just an interview." And then I had the opportunity to take it to a TV show. And I thought, well, everybody was loving the interview thing. So why not? So I went ahead and I launched a TV show, and I always made very clear that it's a holistic, judgment-free space. So the people that I have on there, the other coaches, the authors, intuitives, whatever they are, it's across all realms. It's even business. I've had brand people, marketing, because again, mindfulness is in business too. If you are stressed out and you can't do it all, you don't know everything about marketing and branding, you need to know someone that can help take that stress off of you.
Yeah.
So it's not all woo woo, as everybody likes to call it. It's not all the woo woo space. It's everything. But when I started doing that, the people that are on there are also people that knows not everybody is their client. They're not always a good fit for everybody. I think too often we get burnout on those ones that, well, I can do this, I can do that. You're paying these high dollar things. And it's like, well, if it doesn't work, it was on you. It wasn't them. Not everybody is your fit. And the people that I have on are used to meeting people where they're at. They're very heart-centered, people and I used to say like-minded. Someone else said like-hearted, and that's kind of more what I connect with. And they're from all over the world. There's so much we can do. So I have people on from all over the world, but that's kind of how it came about. And so I don't have seasons for a particular thing. I just take them as they come in. And let's just get them up there. Let's get them out there because people need to know they exist. They need to know that there's a safe space and that maybe there's someone else that can resonate with what they're going through that can help them, because that's my whole thing is for people to know that they're not alone and that they're supported. There's someone out there that can help them.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you really bring about, like, the wellness and business kinda connection, and it really does help, shift how your clients show up, right? And how they build their business and that so you're almost, well, you're creating, like, a legacy, and that's exciting.
It is. I have my own channel and everything. And it's funny because, like you say, people get into business is this is that. Because I've had people are like, well, I'm business. I don't know how I would relate. I'm like, okay. But if you're doing this for someone and someone else is stressed out, I mean, there is a mindfulness, there's a self care mindfulness connection, I think,
Mm.
in everything we do.
Oh,
We just
absolutely.
don't always see it. And if you get those business people that are just in business mode, that does not always show up, and they don't always think about that. I'm like, oh, well, now since you put it that way, oh, yeah, I guess I could do that. Okay, so let's do this because I'm sure someone else is feeling stuck and struggling in the same area.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What's one thing that you wish more entrepreneurs kinda knew about, like, true alignment and success?
Well, I know the one thing, like I said, the one thing I wish I would have known was that it was okay to be me, to figure out who I am,
Yeah.
and to be yourself. Don't keep getting lost and following, learn from the people, learn from stuff, but make it your own.
Yeah, I
Make it your own. Don't try to duplicate them and be a little mini whatever that you're trying to follow, because you're not living in your true self and it does stall out your business. It stalls out what you're doing. When you're aligned with stuff and you light up, you'd be amazed because people will start connecting with you. It's like, "Oh my god, I saw you here," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And you just start connecting because you're living in your own purpose, and it'll help you to be more successful.
love that. That is so impactful. And you do offer a travel savings account as a gift for our listeners. And because rest and travel are so underrated for high performing entrepreneurs, share a little bit more about what that travel savings account is.
They are, yeah, so it's whitesand67.com. You create a free account, and really you have to verify your email, and that can protect you from being spammed. But that brings you into the wholesale inventory. You can save up to 65% on hotels and more. You can change it into, I believe it's 13 different languages, 13 different currencies, so it can be used all over the world. You've got flights, hotels, cars, rental cars. You can do everything on there. And I love just sharing that one, because yes, I can book them as a travel agent. I am a travel agent, but that most people book themselves anyway, and they can book themselves, save money, and then whatever they save is what I earn, which I use to help support Mindful Mondays and keep the communities and stuff growing.
That's so cool. I love that. It has been such a pleasure to have you on our show as a guest. Thank you so much for your time, your expertise, and for showing up for people in ways that they need. So appreciate you. Laura, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what is the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, you can email me directly at whitesandselfcare@gmail.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. Laura Cross White Sands is the line for both of those. Just connect with me, send me a message, and I'm happy to connect.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. Listeners, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate you and you being here and listening. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you, Dina.